The second game on this episode what we're talking about is Brass, Birmingham. The designer is Gavan Brown, Matt Tolman, and Martin Wallace. The artist is Lina, Cossette, David Forrest, and Damien Mammoliti. Totally butchered your name, I'm sorry. And the publisher is Roxley. And I'm not going to go through all the rules. Even though this game isn't really that complicated, there is just a lot happening.
Mm-hmm.
Easiest way to explain it is you're trying to get points. You get, and there's two phases to the game. There's a huge board in the middle. For those who have never played this, it is very interesting what's going on, and it's hard to visualize. So I'm going to try to be as basic as possible. Anyway, the middle of the board is just all these different cities in Europe connected to each other through either a canal, which you have to build a ship or a boat, or railroad. And you can only do one of those in each half. So the first half of the game, you can only build canal or ships on the canals. Mm-hmm. The second half of the game, you're building trains on the railroad. And that allows you to connect and have basically presence from one city to the next city. So you have to expand out basically. So all these different cities are represented by different squares. The squares have an icon on there that correlate to the player board that's in front of you. So your player board has all these different tiles on it, which are essentially buildings. So for instance, you can build a coal mine, you can build an iron mill, or whatever they're called actually in the game. It doesn't matter. And then like a pottery place. What was that one? I don't know.
It's pottery.
Is it pottery? Okay, cool. So there's a couple of different ones you can build, and they're represented by the same icon on the map itself. So if you want to build a coal mine, you have to find a city that can actually accept a coal mine. You also have to have presence to it as well, or connection to it from your railroads or canals to other cities that you have stuff in, because everybody's going to start in a city. Anyway.
Unless you have the card.
Yeah, whatever. We're going to get to that in a second. So the last thing is, you totally threw me off now.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, so the idea is it's like a player-driven economy. So when you play coal out, it spawns with a bunch of coal cubes on it, and people can actually grab those off of there, and you want them to, even though it's free for them to do so, instead of buying them essentially from the market, which might cost them money, they get to also get those for free. But once they're all gone from your tile, it's going to flip over and score you points and give you natural income each round. Mm-hmm. Because you're going to play a bunch of rounds before the end of the first phase, and then you reset the game up basically and play a second time. But the second phase is specifically with the railroads. Anyway, there's a huge deck of cards that's going to be the timer of the game. Everybody gets a handful of cards, and these cards are one of two things. Either they're going to be one or two icons of the buildings that you can build. So when you play that, and on your turn you get two actions. So one action is to play one of these cards, and it's going to allow you to build one of your, which I remember what I was going to say in this, so it segues really well. It allows you to build one of your buildings, like for instance that coal mine, onto the board, but you have to have connections to it in order to do so when you play this type of card. Yes. No? Okay, cool. All right, stop. It's not that important. Yeah, okay. Anyway, so when you put the building down, it's going to take from the lowest level building that you have. So you're going to have all these different piles of coal mines, level 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. And as you build them, the more you build, the more points they're going to be worth, the more income they're going to give you, etc. And it's like that for all the different types of buildings. The second type of card is a city card. And when you play a city card, it allows you to build in that city any of those symbols. And that one, you don't have to have like a connection to one of your other cities. So you can kind of circumvent the connections by just building across the map by using that city card. Anyway, so you're going to play two cards, build stuff. You're trying to make this connection between your cities so that you can utilize, they're on the edges of the board, there's these other cities that give you the ability to buy coal from the market or buy iron. I think you buy iron at any points, right?
Yeah, iron flies.
Yeah, iron flies. So you're trying to do all this stuff to generate a bunch of income.
And then you can also sell to those outlying cities.
Right. So, and then as you do all this, you're also connecting links. So all your buildings have like these links on it. And at the end of the phase, when you like take up one of your canals, so to speak, every city that it connects to that has your buildings, you're going to count up all the different link icons that you see. And then that specific token will score that many points. So the idea is you want to connect all your stuff together at the end so that it gives you a lot of link bonus points to your canals, or at the end of the game to your railroads. Then you get you get points for all your different buildings and stuff on the table. There's all kinds of points everywhere. But that's kind of a very loose idea of the game.
Right.
Let me tell you, it took us playing the game through the entire first half of the game before I was like, snap.
All right, snap, I got it.
I got it,
right.
yeah.
No,
So-
yeah, definitely it took me at least halfway through, the canal phase in order for me to be like, all right, I kind of understand what I'm trying to do now.
Yeah.
But, yeah, starting off the game and deciding what kind of building to build, there's no real direction. You're like, yeah, you got these 8, or whatever number of buildings to build, and go.
And yeah, go. What do I do?
Right. So I would say the game is definitely not for a new gamer. It is a little bit heavier than I would just spring on anybody, but there is a lot of depth and gameplay and different mechanics to shoot your way through on this game.
Once you hear the rules, it's not that complicated. And on your turn,
not.
you legit just play 2 cards.
Right.
That's pretty much your turn.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it has a 3.89 out of 5 complexity rating or weight on BGG for a reason. I mean, it is a deep game.
There's a lot to it. Yeah, just the rule set is not very complex in itself.
Exactly. But there is still a lot of stuff going on, so trying to explain it to somebody is way different than actually showing and playing it with them. Because like I said, I mean, this game is pretty long. What did we play it, like 3 hours?
For us, it was 3 hours. You're talking to 2 very, very new players at the game and 1 experienced player. I think we can get through it in maybe 2 hours.
Yeah, I think the next time
second playthrough.
I think the second phase, and Jason might tell us wrong, I think the second phase was much quicker than the first phase if you cut out all the banter and stuff that's not game related.
Sure.
I think it was much faster the second. But I mean, that is kind of nice that you kind of play the game twice.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not. I won't say it's my favorite part because it is. You remove a lot of your your first buildings. It's not 1 star.
Yeah, basically like
level 1 buildings.
The
basically.
garbage rank tiered buildings.
Right.
Those all get off the board and everything else stays.
If you're able to do level 2 and up, those do get you victory points. In the first phase of the game and also the second phase of the game, which comes into play where one of your actions is to remove some of these buildings off your board so that you can kind of propel a little bit forward and get these higher level buildings out.
Exactly. So it's neat. I mean, I don't know. It's a cool game. I'd really like to play it again. I don't know if I'll seek this one out to own.
Oh, that's gonna be me then.
That would probably be Eric.
So
it's just one of those weird games I think I'll buy and leave on my shelf and like never get to the table.
Right, and maybe that will be the case. I do have brass, and we've had brass for quite a few years, so it has never got to the table. But now it kind of renewed my interest in even getting the brass or now brass Lancashire back out to the table, or to the table in the first place.
Yeah.
So I like the game because it has a lot of interactivity. So it's not one of these games that you're going to basically play solitaire together. So everything's real interactive. You share routes. You're basically sharing resources as well, and the market is kind of, like you said, player driven. Whereas if there's a lot of coal and coal is cheap, I might want to do stuff to utilize coal. Or if there's not a lot of iron and iron's going for a lot, I might want to put down an iron mine and sell that, be able to flip my tile and get those benefits right away. So
yeah, it's like that player-driven economy was saying. I really like it because you see that everybody needs coal and coal is expensive, so plop down a coal mine and now people are like, I'll get from you instead of spending 4 coins on each one.
Right. Yeah.
So I like that. That's really neat. And it also benefits you. It's not
right.
like
it has that mooching aspect to it where, I am taking your coal or I am taking your beer or whatever, but you do get some kind of benefit. You might not even want me to take that because, you have plans for your own beer, but it's not so bad because I take from your beer depot or whatever it is. And brewery. And you're able to flip that tile and it gives you a benefit for me taking your item.
It gives you points. It gives you links. It gives you money. I mean, it gives you everything. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So I really like that, and I think it's neat. We haven't played a whole lot of Martin Wallace games, even though people always talk about him. He's really obviously is a profound designer,
Mhm.
but recently we played a lot of
Martin Wallace games.
Martin
Right.
Wallace games, and it's awesome. So especially Wildlands, which is insane that it's like
So,
that
yeah,
different.
You pick up Wildlands, and I'll pick up Brass.
I'm definitely picking up Wildlands. Yeah.
So another part of about the game that kind of intrigued me was the loan aspect, because in all games that is something that kind of goes against my grain. I don't want to do any loans or or take advantage of those kind of things. But I think in this game it is an essential part of the gameplay and being able to win is to manage when to take loans and how to take loans. And you don't want to take loans where it's gonna hurt you in later rounds. But if your income is low anyway, to take a loan, and you're not going to have as much income next round, but it gives you $30 to spend, within the next few rounds.
Yeah.
That's going to kind of propel you and let you use that money to propel you forward.
I think what's really cool about the money aspect, the income aspect, which ties into this loan thing, basically around the edge of the board, you have the score track, and you also have this, basically the income track. And as you get more points of income, it goes into it breaks different thresholds.
Mm-hmm.
So at first it's 1 for 1. So if you're at threshold 4, then you get 4 income. If you go up to 5, you get 5 income. And then later it's like 6 and 7 might be 6. And then 8 and 9 is, 7. So it goes up, it tiers up. And then later on it might be 5 spaces before you get another income. And then even like 5 and 6 or whatever. And so when you take a loan, you go back so many spaces or so many tiers of income, which at first it's 1 for 1. So you go back, what is it, 5? I think 4. I don't remember how far back do you go.
I believe that's 3 spots.
Yeah, it's 3 levels of income.
Right.
And in the beginning, it's only 1 space per level. Later on, it might be 5 spaces per level. And so if you go down, it's 15 spaces. So the chances of you getting that 3 income back is crazy.
Yeah, it's going to take you a while. So it's almost that play, there are some people that might be able to go for a higher income every round, but then you can play it where you're low income every round, but you're kind of jockeying that income just to be able to get you more loans.
Yeah, exactly. I tried not to take out loans, and I got destroyed.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I did at first. I was like, I have no money and I can't do nothing. It's like, all right, I'll take a loan. And then everything clicked, and I was like, oh, okay.
Loans,
I
it should be
now.
brass, loan shark.
Right.
So, yeah. Anything else? Or
I will say that, yeah. So, one last thing on it. It is a little bit, what was I going to say? It's a little bit fiddly at the end where you are gathering up and tallying up all the points, which was not my favorite thing, but in retrospect as well, it kind of lets you not know who exactly is in first place, and so
yeah, calculating who's in first.
It.
Right. It's too much work to try to calculate who's in first place. Although you probably could, because you can look and see what they're worth. Mm-hmm. You can see how many points they're going to get from the links.
Yeah, you could calculate it out, but you're calculating 100 points or something, so it's not going to be off the fly. You're going to be
it's not like I'm at 16, he's at 17. How can I get 3 points?
Right. Yeah, you can't do any of that.
Yeah,
easily anyway.
Easily, right? I mean, I guess people play this a lot. You might be doing that, but anyway. So, anything else? Final thoughts?
No, I like it a lot. So this is one of the games that I'll seek out.
How'd you like the artwork?
I think the artwork was nice.
Yeah, I think it was really cool.
There's the board has 2 sides, so one's a dark side and one's a light side. On our first playthrough, I do like the dark side of the board, but I thought for our first playthrough to be able to see things a little bit more clearly, we played on the light side.
Yeah. Plus the lighting was okay in that room, so playing on the light side kind of helped. But if you were like in an area that had tons of light, the dark side would probably look cooler.
Yeah.
And you would still be able to see everything.
Right.
So, huge board, tons of components. What do you think about those poker chips?
Those poker chips are awesome. Yeah, definitely. I'll be seeking out one that comes with the clay chips or whatever.
Yeah. Because before, I think they're just cardboard chips, right?
In the base game, like the brass original game.
Yeah.
I believe so. They might have been like, I think they're Tiddlewinks or.
Oh, yeah. They're just like plastic chits that are see-through or like just a solid color.
Right.
Tiddlywinks, yeah.
Tiddlywinks.
Garbage.
Right.
Clay poker chips.
Oh, yeah.
Even I would, if I didn't even get the clay poker chips, I'd probably just put actual poker chips in there or something.
Right.
Anything besides those.
Definitely helps.
All right. Well, anyway, that is Brass Birmingham.